Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Telecom Wise Guys webinar. I'm excited to be joined by Andy Constantino, who's our sales engineer over here at Commio. Andy, thanks. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So this is the third part in our series where we're talking to users of Twilio. And Andy, as you and I both know, Twilio, very popular platform. People build incredible IVRs, other applications on top of it. And the one thing that Twilio is not is a carrier. So they certainly have connections with some voice carriers with, some of the text messaging side of the world, but that's not what they do or they do best. And that's actually okay because as you and I both know, they actually have a very robust bring your own carrier section on their website, and they encourage users of Twilio, once their apps start to scale and those costs start to rise and the needs for control and transparency start to become evident, that they really sort of recommend people to look at these bring your own carrier solutions. Would you agree with that, Andy?
100%. Plus, it gives you a wider breadth and more control over your telecom environment.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So what we like to say is, why wouldn't you want to have all the benefits of Twilio, but also all the benefits of having a better communications layer with, all with access to, 40 voice carriers that are completely under your control, as well as, the text messaging side, which may also save you money. Um, and the good news is we looked at in the last two webinars when we discussed it. If you're just sending calls on the outbound side, that's probably the easiest way to integrate with Twilio, right? It's like it takes a couple minutes. We showed it on the last webinar, and we'll actually, kind of, um, sort of send you guys links to that piece of content as well. And then today we're going to show you the inbound side, which is when you can purchase numbers from Commio to use with Twilio, and then sort of set up the whole inbound side of things. And as a result, as we listed here, Andy, you get a lot of benefits to adding a bring your own carrier solution like Commio to Twilio. Better audio quality. And I think this is a big one, right? Is disaster recovery. Because I think we've heard from Twilio users when the phones stop ringing, um, it's difficult, to get support, and it's also expensive, right?
That is correct. And just on the disaster recovery thing, these are things that, or an item, whereas an inbound call, if it's down, that means you are missing opportunity to sell on the inbound. So it's really important that you have your available. Think doctor's office, dentist's office, those kinds of things as well.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So the good news is when you work with somebody like Commio, who we exist to be a carrier layer, right? A bring your own carrier solution. That's our whole raison d'etre, if I can use some French today. Um, because we have relationships with 40 carriers, we have relationships with all of the upstream mobile carriers for text messaging, and we have a number library of more than 10 million numbers. So you need a number, you need to get a number today, you need to activate it today. Guess what, Andy, right? You can do it with Commio, right? It's much more difficult and time consuming with Twilio, which again is not a knock on them. It's just because that's not what they do.
That's correct. Also, you got to remember with the way our network is built, we cover 95% of the One Plus numbering plan. So
Yeah.
not only can you get a number today, you can get a number virtually anywhere in the One Plus numbering plan, US, Canada, a few of the
Yeah.
Caribbean islands.
That's right. As well as toll free, which I still
Correct.
find fascinating, Andy, that, we get people coming in who check us out and they almost don't believe us when we say, you mean I can get a toll free number and activate it and start sending calls, basically, today. And they're like, but it's taken me 2 or 3 weeks working with another provider to try to get a toll-free number. It's us scratching our heads because we can't believe other people aren't used to working with a REST borg, which is what Cameo is, to get those numbers right on the domestic side, those 10-digit numbers or the toll-free numbers, and get them up and running today. So it's yeah, we make it easy. We're the easy button. And the other thing too is, we have better customer support and service because, Twilio is going to charge you for premium support. We don't charge for premium support. So, especially once your traffic volumes ramp and you need that kind of availability of support when things happen, we're going to be there for you. And it's included in the price. And the good news is, even with all that said, we tend on average to save the average Twilio user anywhere from 30 to sometimes more than 50% on their telecom costs. So What happens at the end of the day? You get all the good stuff with Twilio. You keep all your coding with Twilio. You make a few changes inside of Twilio, and you set up Commio, and then you enjoy the savings, the better support, and you suddenly just the only difference is you have two bills to pay. And ideally together, they're going to be 30 to, 50% or more less than what you were paying Twilio. So enough with the sales pitch. It is what it is. Some of our best customers are Twilio users. They've been with us forever and they love working with us in tandem. So we do invite you, and again, this will be in the email. We are recording the session, obviously. We'll send you parts one and two. Part two will go through sort of setting up the outbound calling. Um, and we're going to have our brand new Twilio ebook, which wraps all this up into a multi-page PDF that will explain it all. Sherry's hard at work on that. We'll have that pretty soon. But today we're going to actually hop over, and I'm going to stop sharing, and we'll go ahead and switch over to sort of what we want to look at on the inbound side. Let's see. All right, Zoom, share. Let's see. Click there and share. Okay. And now I'm going to, let's see here. Let me enlarge this and we'll go ahead here and here, start back at the beginning. So, Andy, why don't you go ahead and step through and I'll click through and let's go through it.
So, really the first thing you want to do on there are two pieces of this puzzle that you're going to be working. You're going to be working the Commio side, which is going to provide you the number and the carrier coverage for your inbound calling. And then you're going to be working on the Twilio side. We'll set up the Commio side first. The first thing you want to do is buy a number. Simple enough. You can do a search. You can see the search there is pretty large. 10 numbers. You can do a search up to 100 numbers. You're going to select a number. Then at this point, you'll need to configure it. Go ahead and hit next.
Yeah. Keep in mind, it's going to advance every like 15 seconds. Sorry.
All right, gotcha.
There you go.
So, but in any case, you're going to buy a number, and then you've got to take and create, configure it. You're
Right.
going to want to take it, you're going to order it, obviously, step through these quickly.
Right. Yep.
But you're going to want to configure it. So we've got it here. We know it's in our inventory. We can start using it. Next thing we want to do is create a route profile. And in that route profile, what we're doing is we're going to give it a what Twilio refers to as a friendly name. And what I did here is if you look at that, what that is a domain on Twilio's platform. When we assign it to a number on our platform, it's telling us when that number gets called, we want to route it to Twilio. And that's what we do here. Like I said, next thing you've got to assign that route profile to the number, which we've done here. Let's go ahead. Let's
Yep.
see.
There you
Yep.
go.
Yep. We've assigned it here. You're going to hit the pencil, assign it, and then drop down. You'll do your drop down for your route choice. You may not be able to read it, but the small print there is the
Right.
the profile that we built. And then we're pretty much done on the Commio side. We've saved everything. We've got it routed. We know that if we got dial that number, that 984 number, that it's going to route to the Twilio platform. Now we've got to take and move over to the Twilio side. The first thing we want to do is build a Twilio TWIML bin. And what this TWIML bin is for is to just create um, we're going to do this for testing, but it is how you would route the inbound to the functions and features of the Twilio platform. So in this case, we just made one. When the number hits the Twilio platform, we want it to play out hello from Commio. And what that tells us is not only is it hitting the Commio platform, it's also hitting the Twilio code as well.
That's right.
And then we want to go down here. We're going to build our IP access list is essentially telling telling Commio where these numbers are going to be coming from. This is our platform, the 192 two IP addresses. Those are the Commio platform. We're going to create this access list. Um, you know, Pretty simple, pretty standard. We do that all the time on all kinds of devices. And next thing, and I added both addresses here, by the way. We have
Right.
to, what that represents is our Raleigh data center and our Dallas data center.
That's right. And there they are.
And there they are.
All right.
Um, so next, what we want to do is create a SIP domain. Now, we did this a little bit backwards. What we're going to do, we created that Twilio SIP domain on the Commio platform. And the next thing we're going to do is add it into here just to make sure if it's not available, Twilio will kick out a message, an error message that says that's not available. In this case, you can see it is available. We'll
Hmm.
go ahead and assign it. We'll go next. We'll assign the access control list so they know where the calls are coming from. We're going to use as our primary method a TWIML bin, and then we're going to assign our TWIML, which we named Commio, and then we're going to save it. After we do that, the last thing that we need to do is build a trunk. Now, building a trunk is just that. It's just building a standard or a simple SIP trunk. So we'll go ahead and add the SIP trunk in. We'll give it a name. Um, I do use the same name over and over again. I probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
But in this case, not only I gave it a name, a friendly name, I assigned the domain, and now I'm going to go forward. Um, that's assigned. Then I've got to assign my origination policy. And what that origination policy is essentially saying is that we're going to allow calls to come from this platform. And then we're going to assign that TWIML bin right there and
Right.
save it. And after that, I'm going to make a test phone call.
Right.
And essentially what that test call is going to do is it's going to come and hit the Twilio platform. And when it does, it'll play that message out. If you look right here, you can see that it did hit the Twilio platform. It says completed incoming call. The from number, that's the number my desktop. The other number was the number we purchased.
Right. And you can see even here the call type was BYOC.
That's
So
correct.
you know
That is
exactly what's
correct.
going on. That's right.
And if we were to flip over to the Commio platform, we would be able to see the same thing. We'd be able to see that Commio originated the call. We can do search for that date. If you look right
There
there
it
is
is.
that call
Right.
going right to that URL or that SIP domain.
That's right.
And that is how you route a call to the Twilio platform from the Commio platform.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so
Mhm.
straightforward, Andy. Thank you so much for helping us put
Yeah.
that walkthrough together. Sorry, it was going a little fast. Um, but really, guys, as you can tell, we've only been on the call now for a few minutes, and you've already seen the entire process from start to finish. So the question you need to be asking yourself is, how many calls and texts am I sending, and what issues am I, facing with my current Twilio installation? And we find that again, that Commie was a great fit for anybody who has been using Twilio for a while and has seen their application ramp to a point where there's a good chance you're going to reach out to them and ask them, I really need more than 2 calls per second, right, Andy? I need 10. I need 15. And by the way, I need more control. And by the way, the costs per call are going up way too, to get the 10 calls per second, say, and that amount of calling is becoming prohibitively expensive. In fact, I had one guy who was running a platform that was scaling said, I can't allow my telecom cost to be more than 10% of my total costs of running this platform. And it's now, closing in on 20. So people started to lose money in a way because they were overpaying because they were scaling too fast. And that happens. Any cloud solution, that sort of thing happens all the time. So that's really when we see people come to our site, they come to Andy, we pull their Twilio, call detail records, and we actually can run those for you right through our system and say, well, look, if last month you did this many calls and this is the to and the from numbers and the call durations, we can actually run them through our system and it'll simulate as if they had been going through our platform. And you'll be able to see immediately how much money you'd be able to save. If you had used Commio instead of Twilio. And that's a great kicking off point to have a very data-driven conversation. Do you need better support? Are you overspending on your telecom costs? And then we can talk about inbound and outbound, for calling as well as, text messaging. So Yeah, bring your own carrier is not a new thing. It's been around a long, long, long time, and we're excited to be one of the premier providers of that service. And yeah, Andy, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think you did an excellent job covering the features and functionality. The one thing I guess I would add would be that if you sit back and think about it, you're getting a number from Commio, and you're just treating Twilio just like your application server, and
Right.
that's really where the benefit is.
That's right. That's right. So we'd love to open it up to any questions folks might have. I know James is asking sort of about how to get us his call detail records. Andy, like, how does that normally work? How do we ingest that information?
Yeah. So we actually have a little primer on our knowledge base that our customer success team will send you, our sales team, I'm sorry. Our sales team will tell you how to go step by step to pull down those records. When we get the CSV file, we have a tool. It's essentially a mock-up of our um, billing system, and we'll take and process those records just like we were going to bill them, and it'll tell you exactly what you would have paid on the Commio platform.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Mhm.
Anybody else in that old Q&A box? Happy to answer any questions you might have. Uh, well, here's a question about on the inbound side. So let's say, the calls do stop coming into the application. Like, what would somebody go through to be able to troubleshoot a problem like on their own?
Sure, sure. So as we demonstrated, you can get the you can examine the call detail records on both platforms. Um, if it looks like it's failing to leave the Commio platform, then it would be on our side. We would be able to, you'd be able to open a ticket with the Commio knock team. If they determine that there is something with the inbound carrier on that's a Commio carrier that needs to change, our knock team can move that number to a different carrier.
Hmm.
It's very, very unique in the market space. And we're going to do a webinar on just that portion as well down the road.
Yep,
The other thing would be um, if Twilio's having a problem, there is always that possibility. So you can troubleshoot each step of the way with your with the tools that are available on board on both platforms. Um, there's a lot of things that we can do to help you clear that up. Obviously, when you call into our knock or whether you open a ticket through the ticketing system, you'll be able to get immediate attention. Outage obviously is priority one, and they'll help you troubleshoot as well.
that's right. Yeah, no more filing support tickets and waiting days for a response.
Correct.
That's not how we ever operated or ever will. So we've got a great knock team, and we can get you the answers that you need. But well, it looks like that's all the questions, Andy. I appreciate your time. I know you're busy,
Thank you.
and like I said, everybody's on the call. We will be sending out a recording of this, and we welcome your questions. And every email we send with these videos and resources, you can hit reply. I actually get those emails, and we'll make sure the right person can get your answer to any question you need, and we can do it very quickly. So, Andy, thanks again. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody on the call today. Have a good one.
Have a good one.